Welcome to A Home to Love. If you're new here, my name is Delina. Today we're going to talk about a trend that's going around. It's called the Nancy Meyers aesthetic. Have you ever watched a movie or saw a video or a picture in a magazine and thought, I would love to live in that home? That's what the Nancy Meyers thing is about. She is a director of many movies in the 90s. It's complicated. Something's Got to Give, The Intern, The Holiday, The Parent Trap, and Father of the Bride are some of the ones that come to mind. Those houses were gorgeous, absolutely drop dead gorgeous. But the set was designed in such a way that you actually believed that they lived in those houses, that those houses were real. The set designer was a woman named Beth Rubino. She set off a lot of trends like the all-white kitchen with the dark countertops. That's who started that trend. So in the month of June, I have decided that I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to do my kitchen today. Then we're going to move on to the dining room. And then finally the living room. Her kitchens were fantastic. They were actually functional looking kitchens. They weren't so austere that everything was put away. No, everything was left out and it became part of the look of the kitchen. So without further ado, I know I've chatted enough. Let's get started decorating. Okay, I'm going to give you an overview of my kitchen. This is where you enter into my kitchen. This is my DIY plate rack that my husband and I built. If you're interested, I will link that video in the description box. But this has all my cutting board collection. You could store platters, plates, hang cup hooks and mugs from it. It's a fantastic little DIY. It cost us around $50 because we had the beadboard in the back. So it was just the wood that you see, and I had the paint. So we have my kitchen island with all the goodies that we're going to decorate with the chandelier. Above it, you will see those copper molds that I aged to look like antique copper. There used to be plates up there. Love them, but just wanted a little bit of a change. But you will notice that I did keep some of the little blue plates, and I'll show you those. I changed the window treatment to a faux Roman blind that I made. That's just to simplify it for the summer. And that was one of the iconic things in the Nancy Meyers movies, where her window treatments were very simple, yet very elegant. The utility room, door to the garage, my spice refrigerator, coffee station. This was all empty when we moved into the house, for those that are new. This was what they classified an eating part of the kitchen, but my refrigerator would not fit where the deep freeze is at the end of the countertop. So we got some cabinets from Lowe's, moved the water line, and moved everything over to the side and added some shelves. All right. Now you will notice I have my microwave and I have my toaster out. I don't put those away. We use those daily. There's no point in putting them away. It is what it is. In fact, we are going to be moving that microwave in an upcoming project that y'all want to see. Now, I do have under cabinet lighting that I installed. It's just an LED strip. I did leave a couple of my blue and white plates, my favorites, up here on the back of that peel and stick brick wallpaper. I have a lamp that I always have in the kitchen, a little ambiance. Let's get started decorating. Here we have, it's a little shelving unit that it had some weird, funky, kind of legs. I guess you could have hung it on the wall, but I chose to cut it off flat. I added some of the wallpaper that I have in my hutch to bring over here. And I painted the interior because it was in pretty bad shape with just a dark brown paint. Now I am going to put that right here. I am adding a little warmth to my kitchen because my kitchen is predominantly white with a brown countertop. These antique ball jars. Move you up a little. And I'm going to place them in here. One's filled with rice, so you can actually see the blue. The other one's oatmeal. I'm going to place those kind of at an angle. Okay, and then I have a timer from Target. I'm going to place right there. Now, in Nancy Meyers kitchens, living rooms, anywhere you go, books were an extremely important part of the design. I have a couple of antique books that I'm going to place in there. They're little, which I love the little books. They're hard to find, though, the antique. If you hear the cats in the background, I'm sorry. I have a little copper colander that I thrifted. Inside are little tiny copper molds that I put a paper towel down in, and then I just left them down in there. And then I'm going to place that in here to bring in the copper from up top down below. It's always repetitive, repeating those elements that give a cohesive look to your interiors. We're going to move on to here, which I've got some little earthenware little molds. I am just going to place them in here on an angle. And I have my butter pats. Some antique, some are just vintage. Place them in here. And then on the very end, I am going to place my butter bell, because the toaster's right here, so that's where the butter is. And then the last item on this end is a faux plant in a little white ceramic pot that I am, it's right there. Plants were a huge another element in the Nancy Meyers thing. I know you're going to hate hearing me say that over and over. Okay, now this is just this end of the counter. We're going to move over there next. And then at the end, I will give you a tour and a close-up. Here I have, it's a cutting board that I placed on top of two little risers that I bought at Hobby Lobby when they were on clearance. And that's my riser. I have a vintage mixing bowl, a vintage Pyrex bowl, and my marble mortar and pestle with a tea towel and a vintage handkerchief. And I'm going to place that right here at the end. Now, hanging on the back, I have a cutting board. I'm going to just kind of wedge in there. And I have another copper mold. This is what those copper molds up top look like before I antique them. And that I'm just going to hang as a backdrop. I have a LED candle that you just saw come on. Is that in that corner? And then I have a stack plate of white plates. These are false craft. This is a little picture that I got at the thrift store with some faux greenery. Now I'm just gonna place that right there. Now to bring in that blue element that I like so much in my kitchen, I have this little antique crock pot. And I'm gonna set that right in there. And then the final item is this cloche with some faux bagels that I got from Hobby Lobby. And we're going to place that right here to cover up that hole that's in the cutting board. Almost. And I'll adjust everything just a little bit. And then down here, the outlet's blocked, so I have a outlet block with a cord that I just push under there so that we can still use the outlet behind it. Moving on, we are going to move next to the range. Over here is a very small, as you can see, space between the range and where the wall oven is. I have placed all my wooden utensils and a piece of gingham navy blue and cream, and I'm just going to place that right there. And next to it, I have a mud pie container that I thrifted. These are faux rosemaries, and this to me looks like parsley. So it's, and I am gonna kind of kitty corner it that way and give you a better look. And then I have a couple of hot pads here on a hook. And I have those salt and pepper copper grinders from Target. And that's all that is. Now above it, I have two little wood frames with some art in it. That was another thing that was iconic in her movies, was the use of art, curated art in her homes. And you could see that just fills that little space just beautifully. All right, we are going to move on to the island. We are going to start off with the travertine bowl that I got from Hobby Lobby. I filled it with apples. Apples stay great at room temperature. It's a quick grab and go for lunches when everybody's out trying to get out the door. I have a Hobby Lobby very heavy vase because y'all know I have cats. This is filled with hydrangeas, some just odds and ends picks that I have, fresh flowers, and like I said before, plants are another element. The last couple of items, I have a marble cutting board riser that I got from Ross. Move these things around. And I'm going to move that here on an angle. I mean, you guys will get a close-up look when I'm done. I have a wooden little mortar and pestle here. I believe I got that at Hobby Lobby. I have a footed wood bowl that was a Dollar General. In it is fake lemons and some of that rosemary that I had over there by the stove. And that's all there is to my island. And like I said, I will give you guys a close-up at the end. All right, here's my coffee bar. All I have is my candle warmer with a DIY candle I made from a bowl that I bought from Home Goods. I have the upper two shelves. We have our mugs, our travel mugs, our sugar, and our coffee spoons. Above that is a reproduction coffee mill, some vintage cookbooks, a scale that I bought from Hobby Lobby and distressed with, again, that faux rosemary. We all just did the above the refrigerator. Moving over, we have my spice rack that I bought at a yard sale. I know you hear this over and over if you're here. And turned it into a spice rack. It was just like a cubby's kind of thing. Above it, I have my twine holder collection, a couple of faux plants, and a Moody landscape. And that's all there is on this wall. Now, over here, I've shown you this before in a previous video, but if you're new here, that is a display box from Hobby Lobby that I have secured to the wall, and in it has got some copper, some faux florals, a couple of blue plates, and a doily. We have that faux window that I thrifted with a wreath from Hobby Lobby. And then some aprons, a basket with some faux greenery, and a white pitcher. And then above it is, again, you guys have seen this before, it is a crock with my rolling pin collection, a milk glass lamp, and a pitcher with some florals. The pitcher is from Dollar General. And this completes our kitchen decorating. Now I will now give you a close-up of everything. Thank you so much for coming along. And how did I do? Did I do pretty good with the Nancy Meyers aesthetic? You tell me down in the comments. Also, down in the comments, tell me, what movie would you love to live in that house in that movie? I would love to hear that one. I have always been partial to Father of the Bride. It's complicated. If you've seen that movie, her garden is fantastic in that movie, and loved her kitchen. So, well, I will see you next week where we do the dining room. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, thumbs up for the like, and see you down in the comments.